Hello, everybody. Today I wanted to do some Disco Elysium ASMR. If you are unfamiliar with Disco Elysium, it is a phenomenal CRPG, well known for the high quality of its writing and kind of beloved by the people who enjoy it. I find, most people, they just kind of bounce off the game, or it becomes one of their, favorite games ever, pretty much. And for good reason, because the writing is just spectacular, and the voice acting as well is spectacular. They added an update that fully voice acted the game. And the central conceit is also quite fun to play out. You are a detective. You play a detective who has suffered a bout of amnesia and has no memory of his name, his past, his history, even his personality, really. And so a major part of the game is you kind of reconstructing a personality for this character. And you can, shape him in any number of ways. And it's very flexible and offers a wide variety of, paths that you can take this character down, and they're all very interesting and exciting in their own ways. And unfortunately, I won't really get into this, but there's a whole spat of legal trouble and such that has pretty much doomed Disco Elysium. The creators have been fired from the company that, owns the rights, and there's all this nastiness going on there. Lots of accusations being thrown back and forth. So there might be a Disco Elysium 2 one day, but it will be from, a group of people that is not really composed of the original creators. So I won't linger on that, primarily because it seems, it's just very complicated, and I'd have to do a lot more research before I could speak on it with any authority or knowledge. And the upshot of it all is that it's very sad, because the game is incredible. But today, we're not going to be playing the game. I was thinking that I would love to do a lore video on Disco Elysium, but what I decided to do today, I might still do that later, but what I found a little more exciting today was to read Sacred and Terrible Air by Robert Kurvitz, who is one of the masterminds behind Disco Elysium. And Sacred and Terrible Air is a book, a novel, that predates the game, and it was written in Estonian and never officially translated. But a number of groups online, a number of fan groups, have translated the book into other languages. And so today I want to read the first couple chapters of the book from the translation by Group Ibex. And I haven't read the full translations of all the different groups that made versions, so I have no particular reason for picking the Group Ibex version, regardless of the differences between the versions. To do a fan translation of a book that's like 200 pages or something, maybe a little less, is a lot of work, and everybody who worked on it should be applauded, really, for their passion and drive. But I will be reading from the translation by Group Ibex. So, without any further ado, let's go ahead and jump into Sacred and Terrible Air by Robert Kurvitz. Hey everybody, a quick warning before we start reading. There are a couple of instances of profanity in what we'll be reading today, and some offensive language. So, just be forewarned about that if that would bother you. Enjoy. And we will read the little inscription at the beginning, the epigraph, I suppose, which says, "My heart will not rest until it rests in you." St. Augustine. A quote by St. Augustine. Chapter 1, or it's just labeled 1, so I'll just say 1. CHARLOTTESJÄL. It was a popular vacation area just outside of Vasa that swallowed the 4 Lund girls. Along with their little bones and tan-lined skin, an entire era vanished. 6 kilometers of winding coastline, a swimming spot popular in the 50s, rows of changing cabins, reeds rustling in the wind. Go there and find the age that conservatives long for, when parents could send children to the beach unsupervised, $2 for ice cream and bus fare in the pockets of their summer pants. Mom and Dad would shake their heads in worry, keeping their children hidden from the news from Messina, from Grad, from Gottwald, where every week, it seemed to them, someone's wee skeleton was found buried inside a stove wall. There, every week, someone's daughter escaped onto the street after 30 years of captivity in a cellar and cried for help. But not here. Here, we have a social democracy and the soft peach blossoms of social democracy, innocuous social programs. These progressive things make a broken human soul feel better. The uncanny technical urge to construct a subterranean secret room with a ventilation system where the air ducts on the front lawn are disguised as clay miniature windmills will never reach these outskirts. Those dark, raging fevers of the mind simmer down in the cool mist here. The breath of distant blue glaciers freezes the sick thoughts that reside in man's head. Vasa, a better place to live. And then, one Tuesday morning, with white clouds in the blue sky, 4 sisters, Maj, 5, Annie Ellen, 12, Malin, 13, and Charlotte Lund, 14, go to the beach together for a swim. They take with them $2 in cash, 4 sets of swimming clothes, something to eat and drink, and 2 large picnic blankets and 2 beach bags. At 9:30, they board the horse car in Lovisa, a suburb of Vasa. The tram driver remembers them well. Today, 20 years later, getting to talk about it is the highlight of the day for Roland, who lives in a retirement home. The oldest bought the tickets for all of them, to CHARLOTTESJÄL, 40 cents, 10 cents a ticket. Were they to go even one stop further, it would have been 20 cents a ticket. I can recall it very well. The rural lines start there, with the rates twice as high. But Lord, she was a girl as pretty as a picture, with such good manners as well. The oldest, Charlotte. The old man rumbles rhythmically. I didn't know back then. Read it later in the paper, and then I went straight to the police without delay. Every second counted. At 10:25, the girls disembark at Charlottesjäl Beach. One by one, they thank the tram driver, well-raised as they are. The beach is hot this morning, and there are few people around. Next to encounter the girls is the ice cream shop clerk, Agnetha. At the time, 20 years ago, Agnetha is still in university, and she's working at the ice cream shop as a summer job. Malin and Annie Ellen buy 4 ice creams, 2 vanilla, 1 lime, and 1 chocolate. The girls are not visible from the shop. The window blinds are rolled down for protection against the sun. The only uncovered window is next to the counter, with products on display. As it's a workday, the clientele is sparse. Young Agnetha knows the girls and their well-established flavor preferences. Peppermint, Malin's favorite, is out of stock that day, which causes some confusion. In addition to the ice cream, peculiarly, the girls buy 3 meat pierogies. This raises the tab to 1 real and 50 cents. The girls leave the shop, and from the uncovered window next to the counter, Agnetha notices a man accompanying them. Agnetha is incapable of remembering anything else about the man. Age, height, clothing, whether there was more than one man, or, as Agnetha started feeling later, whether there was even a man at all. And this is the last time anyone sees the girls. The 4 daughters of Anne Margaret Lund, who had been sworn into office as education minister 2 days prior, and paper industrialist Carl Lund, have vanished. The press starts a years-long love affair with the case. Every minute detail is brought out in the newspaper columns, carrying the Lund girls deep into the cultural memory. The disappearance becomes one of the most prestigious unsolved cases in the Real Belt. At about 12:40, 5 hours and 20 minutes before 6 o'clock, the time when the girls are expected home in Lovisa, and about 30 minutes before the ice cream shop, 3 boys sit in a living room. The room is gold-striped, with sunlight through the slatted blinds, and the boys are classmates with 2 of the sisters. The tall, freckled one has the telephone receiver pressed to his ear. "Hey, call already," urges the blonde one. "Well, it wouldn't be very chic of me to call 3 hours earlier than agreed." The fat Ilmarin immigrant pulls the tall one by his sleeve. "For real, Therese, call. Something is wrong." I know, says Therese, and the steel rotary dial jingles under his finger. Now, the terrible noise of time approaches, the most violent sound in the world. It is not light that spills from the windows into the golden room, but a super deep paleness. All distances there are insurmountable, and between each object there is a horror vacui. Two. Class reunion. Inayat Khan pours himself some Moors. Some of the pink liquid drips from his chin onto his cravat. His suit is ill-fitting, and the buttons are straining. It makes him look like an idiot. A fat idiot with a light blue cravat, he thinks. I shouldn't have come. Go anyway. You'll see your friends. Who did you have there? That von Fersen. He was a nice boy, and he wasn't my friend. He was a psycho-terrorist. I loathed him. Nasty upstart. He's grown into a very respectable man. A careerist is what he's grown into. A disgusting guy, and a racist as well. Oh, I remember what he called me. Do you want me to tell you, Mom, what he called me? And Therese and Jesper. Listen, Jesper is famous now, too. Camel shit, Mom. He called me camel shit. Khan watches the magnetic tape slide against the reader. The plastic discs spin hypnotically in the machine. Magnet becomes music, a slow song, and for a moment it seems to him as if those spots of light are creeping up again, on the walls and floor of the assembly hall, like stars in the sky, or a swarm of jellyfish deep underwater. spots sliding over Malin Lund's white dress, his hand getting sweaty on her waist. What to say? Time stands still. The music fades, and Khan's thick-rimmed dye-materialist glasses reflect the dark green eyes of Malin Lund. Hal mig har. A woman, probably from another class in their year, comes to a stop beside him. She starts to say something, but then pretends to reach for a snack instead. Neither of them came. Khan is alone. The pantsuit-wearing woman is there in her pantsuit. Can't just stand around. You have to manage somehow. He pulls a magic pen from his pocket. There, under the glass, Separmat Nizhininsky, the chairman of the Presidium of the People's Republic of Samara, smiles his hearty black-and-white smile of history right into the camera. To his left, leaning against the ship's railing, a rat-faced man in the black leather coat of the secret police. Look, the disappearing commissar, says Khan, turning the pen. The rat-faced man under the glass vanishes. Only the chairman of the Presidium, Separmat Nizhininsky, himself, stays on deck, alongside Ukotomsky, a groveler, exceptionally adept at delivering embarrassing criticisms. Where there used to be a commissar, there is now an empty railing. You can also see the part of the bridge that the commissar hid before. Very interesting, says the woman in the pantsuit, and peers over her shoulder. Khan wipes away a lock of hair stuck to his forehead. In his other hand, he still holds the pen, which he now looks at with a dreamy smile, muttering to himself, Commissar? No, Commissar. The smile flickers for a moment and then disappears from the man's double-chinned face. Khan's big, sad eyes look at the bustle of adults on the hall floor. There, the class of 56 calls each other's names. Handshakes are exchanged. Children's pictures are shown inside wallets. Commissar? No, Commissar. A man in his 30s sits on the parquet floor in a spacious room. The parquet is freshly varnished. Blonde bangs fall on the interior designer's forehead. He sits cross-legged, thin white hands in his lap. When he looks up, the room's interior design is reflected back at him in the floor-to-ceiling windows. In the gloom behind him appear the minimal skeletons of designer furniture, a kitchenette with a stone countertop, and analog system speakers like two mute obelisks. A lone spirit hangs over the room. A beige Perseus black peacoat hangs on the rack, and in the shoe rack are 3,000 real white chamois leather shoes. His hand is on the dimmer switch, and the light fades. The reflection of the room disappears, and in its place is a sea of ferns outside the floor-to-ceiling window. The dark green expanse dissipates into the darkness under the spruce trees. Usually he listens to music, sitting here, but tonight it's so quiet you can hear the rain pattering on the ferns. In his 20s, while he was developing the world-famous Ildad minimal design language with his associates, Jesper de la Gardie was also doing a lot of nose candy. In those days, they would bounce between the bathrooms of the Architects Association Cafe and those of the prestigious Interior Design Office, congratulating each other for inventing the future and sipping bottled water. This project we are doing, it rules. Through this language of shapes we are divining human visual perception for the next century. And one day I will write a book about this. Tasteless people are cruel people. Evil is tasteless. Is it really so unthinkable, then, that simple and clean interior design will make the world a better place? Nose candy went out of fashion, but bottled water remained. Jesper takes a sip and stands up, adjusts the tie knot in the V-neck of his sweater, picks up the receiver, and calls himself a taxi. The concrete cube beneath the spruce trees goes dark as the machine whirs away into the shadowy grove with Jesper in it. A puff of fuel fumes house between the glass walls. The phone rings. A white apparatus sitting on a wooden tabletop with an extraordinarily beautiful crane. It is dark. International Collaboration Police Agent Therese Mashacek steps off the huge scale of the train carriage and onto the floating station. The rain is picking up steadily, making the steel monoliths of the carriages shine. They tower above a platform suspended beneath the sky by a tangle of cables. Steam rises from the magnets underneath the carriages, hot from the current, and drifts like smoke along the asphalt of the platform. Mashacek takes his luggage from the concierge and moves with the crowd to the station building. A coin falls into the metal slot of a payphone. The dial tone sounds, and the ICP agent practices saying hello into the receiver in a normal and relaxed manner. The freckles on his cheeks and the bridge of his nose have completely disappeared over time. The line of his mouth is permanently anxious. No one answers. The man takes the guide with the address from his briefcase and decides in favor of the tram. The dark shape of the floating train station towers over the city. Glowing elevator cars descend from its belly down to Vasa, like dandelion seeds. In one of them, Agent Machacek watches how the only metropolis in the Nordics glows beneath his feet. The elevator window drips with rain. In the background, in the North Sea, a low, flat city disintegrates into an archipelago of light. Telefunken's slender mast rises alone from the saturnine green mass of the buildings. Motorways meander there, glowing golden, the traffic on them smooth as sleep. Königsmalm is there, the commercial center, and Salem is directly below, with the colored lights of the immigrant district flowing on the asphalt. Horse cars appear from under the riding hall awning, toil up the slopes, and disappear clip-clopping under the shiny green chestnut trees. The tracks disperse between the tens and hundreds of parks of Lovisa, leading to the university islands and social housing districts, where the city quietly gives way to coniferous forests. Far away in the garden suburbs, the lights go out, and Machacek feels the vacation areas shivering in the rain, empty beaches and pine forests. This is where the real Katla begins. Though it is only now the end of September, already a great cold is approaching from the other side of winter's orbit, drawing over her black woodland expanses, her clearings and valleys. Chestnut leaves blow under the awning of the manege and into the waiting pavilion, where a kitten-voiced girl announces the route numbers and delays over the loudspeaker. The frame of the building echoes them back to her. Leaves stick to the glass of the pavilion and the windows of the horse cars. The air is full of their musty smell. The ICP agent enters a packed carriage, suitcase in hand. On top of the suitcase, the contours of the Isolas of the Real Belt form a bird of prey taking flight. The coat of arms of the ICP. Private investigator. Khan lies. He's not a private investigator. The private investigator is a fantastic amalgamation. It borrows the obesity and oily hair from his own career as a disappearance memorabilia collector in his parents' basement, and mixes in the career of his more successful classmate, Therese Machacek, who works in the missing persons department of the International Collaboration Police. The fantastic amalgamation has served Khan faithfully on many occasions. This is not one of those times. Pardon me, I didn't quite catch that. The woman in the pantsuit is distracted. Private investigator. Specifically, I look for missing persons. When the police and the power structures have given up, then friends or family members, mostly family, come to me, and then I do my best. In the background, Sven von Fersen presents their former homeroom teacher with his collection of witty management articles, wearing quite the cosmopolitan face. You would never guess that, in his vocabulary, people with yellowish skin and exotic names were called camel shit. Aha. He turns to Con. So you're still searching for them, even now? Yes. Okay, that's how it was in the beginning. True, but I've studied it too, and one thing led to another. The man in the light blue cravat is sweating. He's starting to lose his patience. And besides, so what? Look around. Half the conversations here are about this same thing. So tell me again that you don't care. First of all, half of the conversations here are not about this. You think they are, but they aren't. And secondly, of course I'm interested. But I think the whole thing is, well, sad. What's sad? This topic. The people who keep bringing it back up. People who still write to the newspaper that they saw a woman somewhere who looked like what Malin or Annie would look like now, and so on. Oh, go fuck yourself. The people in the immediate vicinity of the buffet table fall silent and look in the direction of Kahn and von Fersen. The woman in the pantsuit becomes uncomfortable. She looks away. The sweating man in diamaterialist glasses shoves the remaining half of a pretzel into his cheek and sets off towards the coat room. The chestnut trees in front of the high school are swaying in the wind. Leaves blow onto the steps of the main entrance, across the sidewalks and puddles. The surface of the water ripples. The wheels of an abruptly stopped machine break the cones of light cast by the streetlights. The taxi door slams shut, and a 3,000 real pair of white chamois shoes step into a puddle. The interior designer curses and takes 3 long steps. Indignant, he gives up on trying to shake off the mud, stuffs the folder under his arm, and walks up the stairs to the main entrance. It's warm inside, and it smells like glue. Jesper breezes through the lobby, the worn wooden floor creaking under his shoes. He takes a name tag from the smiling volunteer and puts it in the back pocket of his pants. Up on your chest, that's what they're for, so that everyone gets recognized. Sure, says Jesper, and leaves the tag in his pocket. Yearbook portraits and class pictures are lined up on a display stand. 8B. There's a skinny blonde boy with a head too big for his shoulders and bangs slicked back behind his ears. To his left is an overweight immigrant child from Ilmara with a dreadful cravat. Little Khan gazes past the camera with a nebulous look. The tall, freckled Kokyo in the backmost beanstalk row had suggested to him that he take off his glasses so he would look less lame. Bit by bit, the man's gaze moves along the rows of 8B, anxiety rising in his heart. His imagination is already running ahead of him. Somewhere in the middle of this row of girls shines a massive nuclear fission cluster, a distant constellation, a matrimony of matter. It had been 8 years ago when Jesper's sharp visage had first appeared on the glossy cover of the monthly design magazine. Admittedly, the limelight had to be shared with 2 other coke-addled visionaries. There they were, the 3 of them on shoot, sitting on their flagship couch. The soft box diffused, Fackengaff played, and pioneers, future, decorous, and many other such things were written below, all of which he remembers very well. 2 hours later, Jesper sat alone in his glowing cube, a scrunchie in the palm of his hand, on a morbidly large stack of class photos and newspaper clippings. One look at the spruce trees swaying in the wind vanquished the temptation to check again to see if the scent had worn off. The scrunchie was sorted into the domestic waste section, and the girls' folder sorted under packaging. Jesper stood in the middle of the room and exhaled deeply. Enough of that. It was done with. But where are they? Why aren't they here? Why are neither of them there? Disappointed, Jesper disconcertedly takes a step back to the display stand to take care of this matter properly, to review all the pictures, when suddenly a 34-year-old man stops in the middle of the lobby. That man still lives with his mother. Early spring, 20 years ago. Little Inayat Khan falls sideways into an ice-coated mud puddle. His reindeer sweater is dirty, and dark red blood drips from his nose. In the midst of numerous discouragements and worried recommendations to stay down, the boy still slowly pulls himself up, briefly slipping down now and again. Finally, he stands eye to eye with Sven von Fersen, only a few meters away. Dirt crusts on little Khan's face, hands rising into an incorrect fighting stance. His fists shake with anger and humiliation. "Listen, you know what he said, don't you?" Von Fersen starts up again. His nasty little lackey knows what Khan said, but asks anyway. "Tell me what he said, Sven." Sven is not stingy with his answers. "He walked Malin home and kissed her. You understand. Khan the cunt accompanied her home. Khan the cunt kissed her." There is a roar of laughter, and the lackey immediately retorts, "Why you gotta tell a sick story like that? You get what you deserve. When you make up something that disgusting, you get what you deserve. You think Malin likes hearing a gross story like that, huh? Does she?" Tears of anger run down the cheeks of the boy in the reindeer sweater. Yesterday after school, Khan had let his imagination run wild. It had been a terrible mistake. The sun emerges from behind the clouds, and he already sees, a few dozen meters away from the spectators, how Malin Lund's hair shines like a glorious halo. She blushes with shame. Charlotte, the oldest of the sisters, puts her hand on Malin's shoulders, and, in their spring coats, they both turn their backs on him. "Shouldn't you have some, camels on that sweater or something?" A scream like a curved sword reverberates through the schoolyard. Khan makes a desperate dash towards von Fersen, although he slips a little on the way. In his mind's eye, he still sees the sharp spear of Ramot Karzai, of Amistad's heroic epic, drilling toward his enemy's chest. The distance is shrinking. A life-threatening collision seems inevitable. But suddenly, out of the periphery of his anger-induced tunnel vision, an unknown actor appears and holds him, the other hand pressed as a stop sign against von Fersen's puffed-up chest. With arms outstretched and a blonde lock of hair falling in his face, Jesper spits out his gum and emits a barrage of "Damn it, Sven, don't fuck around" arguments. Khan tries to free himself from his desk-mate's grip, his bruised cheek and bloody nose staining Jesper's shoulder. And this is how they stand. The bell rings and the lunch break is over. As the schoolyard is emptying of children, Jesper wipes the shoulder of his sweater with a napkin. "So, did you kiss Malin or what?" "No, but I did walk her home, and it went well, very well. Just not that well." "Yeah." "That's the same shirt." "Khan, tell me that's not the same shirt." "Jesper." Two adults stand in a coat room and shake hands for the first time in years. There is a smidgen of warmth in Jesper's wry smile. "I might have acted a bit impolitely when we last saw each other," he begins. "I understand now, it was a mistake." Khan just laughs it off. His few days old beard shakes along with his friendly double chin. "I left a bad impression." Having said that, Jesper is left wondering what he had planned next. "I have news. Something new." He points to the folder and looks at Khan inquisitively. "Or have you, become a chief in the meantime?" "You know me. I'm always hardcore." Without the slightest acknowledgement of the class reunion, Khan grabs his jacket from the coat room, and they head for the door. Look, the disappearing commissar." "That's not too shabby." "I made Therese one, too. That's a particularly special version. It's the same picture, but guess what happens when you turn it a little further?" "What?" "Okatomsky disappears, too. And a pigeon. It's halfway behind Okatomsky." "Otherwise, there would be half a pigeon left hanging in the air." "Precisely." Raindrops drip from Agent Machajek's umbrella, A puff of smoke lingers in the umbrella's canopy, and then disappears into the wind. Holding an astra between his teeth, he folds the map and puts it in his briefcase. Two men run through the silvery curtain of rain, straight towards him across the lawn of the high school. The Kokyo in the gray herringbone coat takes a step back. He makes room under the umbrella. It's immense, ICP standard issue. Did you apologize? He apologized. Colin answers for Jesper. Is it cool there? Matchajek nods towards the school. Colin shakes his hand. Let's go to the city instead, Jesper specifies. There's a place. A new place. Three men step under a large umbrella, and out of focus, a volley of distant sleigh bells approaches, ringing like the silver curtains drawing closed behind the friends' backs. 8 years ago. The needles dance at 12 decibels under their little lamps, until the stereo 8 format tape clicks against the magnetic reader. The beat is unbearably smooth, more modern than nose candy. Or, you never know, it's hard to say. The beat is local, originating in the world-famous recording studios of Vasa. It was made by a semi-mythical person, Fakengaff, who, though an Oranges immigrant, a disc jockey and a music producer, functions rather more like a group of people or a machine in the sky. The nose candy, on the other hand, came through an uncharted strip of pale on a pirate cruiser. It was made by the machete-wielding slave dreaming of a revolution, and by the overseer guarding the fields with a carbine. Fakengaff made the beat so that girls would start dancing and boys would enjoy watching. The slave with the machete made the nose candy so that La Puta Madre would not put his family in front of a firing squad. For 6 months, the nose candy ripened on the high mountain plateau of Irmala. Under the rays of the golden sun, the sun was prevented from falling out of the turquoise sky by the world eagle and its 1,000-kilometer wingspan. The part where the beat seems to go underwater for half a minute and then again, as unbelievable as it may be, returns even cooler, was whispered into Fakengaff's ear by the very soul of debauchery. She had the white wings of an angel, but the breath against the disc jockey's ear had been hot with passion, smelling of cinnamon and primal evil. My God, how pleasant is this numbness in my nose. My God, how good is that part where the beat emerges from underwater. So sad, even cooler than before. How cool am I? I'm there on the cover. I'm so cool there on the cover. I am a pillar of light, vertical, and I'm surrounded by a dark room, and that's it. There's nothing more. Do you understand? The guests sitting on Jesper's white divan cube and behind the multifunctional desk module share impressions of the World's Fair. Glasses are clinked together too, in a display of champagne socialism. Jesper dances alone like a rare albino rooster. From the water bottle in his right hand, pearly drops fly under the windows. Like a time that has already been and gone, the streets of Vasa slip by out the side window of the taxi. A large black horse snorts, steam rising from its nostrils. Something sweet seeps into the battered heart of the ICP agent. The rain stops, and the young people in the dark slowly close their umbrellas. Metro entrances, familiar place names. A girl on a bicycle turns into a side street where yellow illuminated signs are steaming in the damp. Traffic is reflected in the windows of houses and closed shops until the motorway rises above the footpaths. The passing city flashes through the cracks in the stone traffic barrier, and a small boy waves to Matchajek from the window of a passing motor carriage. On the Königsmalm Bridge, the passing streetlights turn into a dotted line. The gray silhouette of a prestigious residential area towers above the water. Teresa's home was there when he lived in Vasa as a child. Ahead, through the window of the motor carriage, the island district begins. 20 years ago, it still had a shady reputation. As Jesper now explains, Careful development and some breakthrough galleries have made Ostermalm the next trend district. Bourgeois Bohemia, you mean? The taximeter is ticking, and the cabin is warm and dark. Jesper doesn't even acknowledge Therese's wit. Hey, spit it out. Khan turns the mixed topic conversation of urban development and class reunion in an unexpected direction. I need a projector. There's also a tape. I'll tell you more at Kino. Then show me the hair tie. Yeah, it's getting morbid, Jesper. Show us the hair tie. Show us the scrunchie. Therese joins in the begging. Come on, don't start. I don't carry you with me. I threw it away. It was a very strange time in general. A sly smile appears on Khan's face. Jesper, don't be stingy. Yeah, don't be stingy. Show it to the class. Jesper looks out the side window. No. A quiet moment passes. The murmur of wheels on the road, the clicking of the turn signal. Khan and Therese look at each other with a grin, and Jesper looks out of the window with feigned indifference. Only after a while does he feel the responsibility of resuming the story weigh on his shoulders. So, what did you tell Fersen? A detective story? The hair tie, Jesper, the hair tie, show it. Resigned, the interior designer puts his hand into the bosom of his Perseus black peacoat and pulls out a ring box. Only recently, everything had felt good, and now it's so sad. Talking about funk aesthetics and futurism with a photographer wife of a young real estate developer under the window. He'd had a feeling that this was how it would be all the time now, that it would never go back to normal again. But right now, the kitten's voice from the monolithic speakers says 10,000 times in a row that she's in love, in love, in love. Outside the windows, the morning gray permeates the darkness above the ferns, cold and dank. It doesn't feel like before at all, like it applies to Jesper, just as some singer in a studio somewhere. Should probably top up. Just did, and it didn't get better at all. Don't know. Should probably do some anyway. A minute later, a 26-year-old version of Jesper Delegade, who has just entered the major league, stands in the milky gray light in the middle of the room. His coffee-colored dress shirt is unbuttoned, his nostrils are red, and his lips are pursed angrily. Hey, the party is over, go home. No one can hear him. Fack-and-Gaff is too loud. With a Stereo 8 format magnetic tape player's stop button under his finger, a pillar of light stands in the middle of the sudden silence. Heads turn. Party's over. Go back home, you scum. Jesper's mouth sunken into a monstrously disdainful arch, and his glassy eyes accompanied the embarrassing exit, the search for clothes and handbags. A fellow visionary pats him on the back, and in return receives the sort of bottomless, abyssal look that ruins interpersonal relationships for eternity. The young real estate developer's photographer wife lags a little behind the group in front of the house, and then turns back under the concrete roof of the cube. My anklet, she lies. Long, strap-shoed legs with a silver chain around the ankle frame this next somber scene. Jesper is sitting among the garbage, sorting bags scattered in the kitchen corner. Amidst apple cores, empty water bottles, and paper bags for handmade pasta, he looks into the kind face of the real estate developer's wife. The sea spray fogged September beach behind his eyes communicates that Jesper is not interested. Your sympathy? No, thank you. Reeds rustle in the wind. The silhouettes of changing cabins stand in a line under the bleak white sky. 4 girls run over the sand and vanish into thin air. In his right hand, the interior designer is holding a light pink scrunchie. Khan looks up at Jesper, the ring box under his nose. His eyebrows are furrowed worriedly. A jolt goes through the cabin as the machine stops. The taxi driver pokes his head from the driver's compartment into the salon, but then quickly turns away, seeing the expressions on the faces of the group. "The scent is gone," says Khan. "I know. There's something very wrong with that. I know." And I think that is a good introduction to our little reading here. Obviously, there's some profanity and such here. I guess I should record a little warning at the beginning, so I'll do that. But I hope you liked it. Obviously, I'm not the best audiobook reader in the world, particularly when there's all these different voices and there's a bunch of different languages and, inspiring place names and people names and stuff like that. And the book is also written in a kind of ethereal, dreamy style, and so sometimes it can be hard to tell which character is talking when. But I hope that you enjoyed our little foray into Sacred and Terrible Air by Robert Kurvitz. I think I will definitely do some more Disco Elysium videos. I don't know if I'll read any more of this. But I highly recommend that you read the rest of the translation because it's very good. And it's a wonderful book. And of course I recommend that you check out Disco Elysium if you haven't. But until next time, my friends, goodbye. Goodbye.